Okay, I've been doing looking at different verses in the Bhagavad Gita, different translations. One of the translators I've been looking at is Srila Prabhupada, and I was at Goodwill the other day, and they just happened to have the Bhagavad Gita as it is, so I got it, and I turned to the verse that I did the other day, chapter 7, verse 24, and I thought it would be interesting to read what he wrote in his purport, his commentary on this verse. And I took him to task a little bit for his translation, because he didn't seem to be translating the word vyakta and vyakti. Although he does have a translation in his, when he translates each word, but then in his translation he doesn't mention it. So we'll go over that in a second. But I wanted to read this and talk about it a little bit. What he's saying here, it's fascinating, and it's worth bringing in. I really don't, at this point, I don't have a hard and fast position on this. I feel like where he's coming from might be a little sectarian and a little bit dogmatic, and others have said that as well. But of course, the Hare Krishnas and if you're in that tradition, they would look on people like us who would say that kind of thing as unintelligent, and even he says asuras, right, which literally translates generally as demonic, right? We're demonic, but he actually translates what he means by asura, and we'll just get into it a little bit, and we'll talk about it. Okay, so for those of you who might be interested in the subject, let's read it word by word. So here's the verse in Sanskrit again, 7:24. Avyaktam vyaktim apannam manyante mamavyayam param bhavam ajananto mamavyayam anuttamam. So he has for avyaktam, he has non-manifested, and this is the same as Parama Karuna Devi. She had non-manifested, not unmanifest or unmanifested. She had non-manifested, and that might be better for avyakta than unmanifest. Although you might say, what is really the difference between non and un? Is there really a difference between the two? Maybe there's a distinction. I was thinking if you put un and non together, you get none. There's no distinction, but maybe there is. Okay, so avyaktam, non-manifested. Vyaktim, he has personality. Okay, apannam, achieved. Manyante, think. It's really they think. Unto me. Yeah, I don't know if unto is the correct word. They think of me. Yeah, I think maybe they think of me, right? Abuddhayah, less intelligent persons. All right, so he has less intelligent. Now, he doesn't have unintelligent. He has less intelligent, which, is nice of him, nice of him. Param, supreme. That's often what you get for param, or highest, or supreme. Bhavam, state of being. Also, that's what you get for that. Ajanantah, without knowing, right? Not knowing or without knowing. My, right? Avyayam, imperishable. Anuttamam, the finest, right? Okay, so all of those are pretty much, except for vyaktim, personality, and mam, unto me. Some people might quibble with abuddhayah being less intelligent, maybe just unintelligent persons. Some people even had ignorant or foolish persons. So he doesn't have the worst. Some other people had like foolish or ignorant. I chose unwise. Winthrop Sargent had unintelligent. All right, so here's his translation. Unintelligent men who know me not think that I have assumed this form and personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is changeless and supreme. Okay, so now he doesn't translate, what I pointed out before was he does not translate avyaktam here. He does translate vyaktim, but he doesn't translate in his translation, he doesn't translate avyakta. Okay, I don't know why. Avyaktam, vyaktim, apannam, manyante mam abuddhayah. Less intelligent people, here's, we could just say, less intelligent or unwise, the unwise think of me as falling into or becoming manifest, although I am unmanifest or non-manifest. Param, bhavam, ajananto. They don't know my higher being or my supreme being. Mamavyayam, anuttamam. Imperishable and the highest, right? They don't know my highest supreme, which is changeless, imperishable, avyayam, and supreme. Okay, so here's what he says. Purport. Those who are worshippers of demigods have been described as less intelligent persons, and here the impersonalists are similarly described. So what does he mean by impersonalists? Impersonalists are the non-dualists, right? Those who think that God ultimately does not have a form, right? That Krishna's highest nature is really beyond form. That's what he means by that. Lord Krishna in his personal form is here speaking before Arjuna, and still, due to ignorance, impersonalists argue that the Supreme Lord ultimately has no form. Yamunacarya, a great devotee of the Lord in the disciplic succession from Ramanujacarya, has written two very appropriate verses in this connection. He says, "My dear Lord, devotees like Vyasadeva and Narada know you to be the personality of Godhead. By understanding different Vedic literatures, one can come to know your characteristics, your form, and your activities, and one can thus understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, the demons, the non-devotees, cannot understand you. They are unable to understand you. However expert such non-devotees may be in discussing Vedanta and the Upanishads and other Vedic literatures, it is not possible for them to understand the personality of Godhead." So unless you're a devotee, a true devotee of Krishna, you will not understand this. You will not understand his supreme form, and that he does have a supreme form. That's the basic gist of that. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the personality of Godhead cannot be understood simply by study of the Vedanta literature. Only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord can the personality of the Supreme be known. Therefore, in this verse, it is clearly stated that not only the worshippers of the demigods are less intelligent, but those non-devotees who are engaged in Vedanta and speculation on Vedic literature without any tinge of true Krishna consciousness are also less intelligent, and for them, it is not possible to understand God's personal nature. Persons who are under the impression that the absolute truth is impersonal are described as asuras, or asuras, which means one who does not know the ultimate feature of the absolute truth. So asuras means demons. Usually it gets translated as demons. There's the gods, the devas, and the asuras. So what he defines it, this is how he defines it. Persons who are under the impression that the absolute truth is impersonal are described as asuras. So he's going further than the guy that he quoted earlier, and saying these people are, the impersonalists are asuras, right? The people that think that God is ultimately beyond form are actually demonic. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that Supreme realization begins from the impersonal Brahman and then rises to the localized supersoul. But the ultimate word in the absolute truth is the personality of Godhead. Modern impersonalists are still less intelligent, for they did not even follow their great predecessor, Shankaracharya, who has specifically stated that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm not sure where Shankaracharya says that, but he does have a commentary in the Bhagavad Gita, so maybe he does say that in his commentary. We'd have to check that out and for sure to see if that's true. Impersonalists, therefore, not knowing the supreme truth, think Krishna to be only the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, or a prince or a powerful living entity. This is also condemned in Bhagavad Gita. And this is a quote from the Gita, "Only the fools regard me as an ordinary person," unquote. The fact is that no one can understand Krishna without rendering devotional service and without developing Krishna consciousness. The Gita confirms this. So you have to be a Krishna devotee, in other words, to understand this, to receive the grace of Krishna. If you don't, you're not going to understand it. That's the upshot of this that I'm getting from what he's saying. And he's even going so far to say that the ancient impersonalists and the modern impersonalists are both unintelligent. He might even say asuras, they're demonic. They don't even follow Shankaracharya, who said that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, we'd have to find out where he says that. Shankaracharya was really the greatest, impersonalist of all time, or in the Hindu tradition. He was the greatest non-dualist, and he really put it on the map, so to speak. So anyway, let's go on. One cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or his form, quality, or name simply by mental speculation or by discussing Vedic literature. One must understand him by devotional service. So you can't figure this out, even from the Gita. I would think that what he's saying is you can't really even understand this from the Gita, necessarily. One must understand him by devotional service. When one is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, beginning by chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then only can one understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Non-devotee impersonalists think that Krishna has a body made of this material nature and that all his activities, his form, and everything are Maya. These impersonalists are known as Mayavadi. They do not know the ultimate truth. So he's making a very clear statement here, that the impersonalists, the non-dualists, they think that whatever form Krishna may have is not his true form. He's beyond all form. The form is an illusion. The form is Maya. And he's saying, no. Srila Prabhupada is saying they're wrong and I'm right. or this tradition is correct and their tradition is wrong. The 20th verse clearly states, those who are blinded by lusty desires surrender unto the different demigods. It is accepted that besides the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are demigods who have their different planets, and the Lord also has a planet. It is also stated that the worshippers of the demigods go to the different planets of the demigods, and those who are devotees of Lord Krishna go to the Krishna Loka planet. Although this is clearly stated, the foolish impersonalists still maintain that the Lord is formless and that these forms are impositions. From the study of the Gita, does it appear that the demigods and their abodes are impersonal? Clearly, neither the demigods nor Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are impersonal. They are all persons. I don't think the non-dualists or the impersonalists disagree with that. I think they agree that the forms of the gods are true forms, right? The gods do have forms. Krishna has a form, Shiva has a form, Ganesha has a form, Hanuman, they all have different forms. Clearly, neither the demigods nor Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are impersonal. They are all persons. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has his own planet, and the demigods have theirs. So, in other words, all the gods have their own planets. Krishna has the highest. He has the highest planet, Krishna Loka, the world of Krishna, the realm of Krishna, that the true devotees will go to when they pass on, they will attain to Krishna Loka. Now, it doesn't say this in the Bhagavad Gita. This is where he's taking this from somewhere else, right? He's getting this, he's bringing in something that's not necessarily in the Gita. So if you're just going by the Gita, it does not say that. It does not say that specifically, although it does kind of hint at that, actually, and we have to look at the verse. Therefore, the monistic contention, which monistic means the non-dualist contention that ultimate truth is formless and that form is imposed, does not hold true. It is clearly stated here that it is not imposed. From the Gita, there's this idea in non-duality of superimposition, I believe it's called. We'd have to look at it. I'm not that up on it at this moment, but so this idea of imposition or superimposition, that's what he's talking about here, is clearly stated here that it is not imposed. From the Gita, we can clearly understand that the forms of the demigods and the form of the Supreme Lord are simultaneously existing, that Lord Krishna is Sat Chit Ananda, eternal blissful knowledge. The Vedas also confirm that the Supreme Absolute Truth is Anandamaya, or full of blissful pleasure, and that he is Abhyasat, by nature the reservoir of unlimited auspicious qualities. And in the Gita, the Lord says that although he is Aja, unborn, he still appears. These are the facts that we should understand from the Gita. See, that's where, an impersonalist or a monist or a non-dualist would say, well, if he's unborn, what does that mean, unborn? Right? Well, I can understand. They would probably say unborn means he has always existed, right? So that's probably what that means. But a non-dualist would say, well, unborn means that the form would be ultimately illusionary if he's really unborn, right? He's unmanifest. What does Aja mean otherwise? But I do understand that they would say, well, he's always existed. He's always been. So that's what Aja means, right? We cannot understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be impersonal. The imposition theory of the impersonal monist is false as far as the statements of the Gita are concerned. It is clear herein that the Supreme Absolute Truth, Lord Krishna, has both form and personality. Okay. This is a very clear statement, and I mean, in a way, you can't dismiss this out of hand. He's coming out of a tradition. He's coming out of a lineage, and I, for one, would, with fear and trembling, I would argue with what he's saying. I would maybe point to some things in the Gita and say, well, what does this mean in light of what you're saying? What does this mean in light of what you're saying? I'm sure he has an answer, but going back to the beginning here, unintelligent men who know me not think I have assumed this form of personality. He's still not really translating avyakta, right? What is avyakta? He has non-manifested in his translation here. He has non-manifested, but he doesn't bring that into his translation. So why did he not do that? Now, just because Krishna is not non-manifested, well, it depends on what avyakta means. I mean, a lot depends on that one word. What does that mean? And avyakta is used a lot in the Gita, so we'd have to look at how is this word being used in the Gita. What does avyakta mean? And can you figure that out from reading the Gita? Now, he might say, though, that even if you do try to figure it out, even if you do think you figured it out, you may still not have the right answer, right? Because it's not, you can't get it from the scripture, right? You can't, and there is basis in what Krishna is saying, right? In the Gita, is like, you cannot understand this from studying the Vedas, right? You've got to go beyond the Vedas. You've got to go beyond the scriptures. So even this scripture, you have to go beyond. And the other thing that speaks to what he's getting at here is the whole revelation in chapter 11, where Krishna reveals his cosmic form to Arjuna, which suggests that this is Krishna's true form, is the cosmic form. This is his absolute form that Arjuna is privy to, and he's receiving this because he's worthy, and because it's an act of grace on Krishna's part for his friend, that he's revealing his true cosmic form. So, again, I for one, I'm not gonna quibble with this until I have a little bit more to say about it. Right now, I mean, from reading the Gita, it seems as if Krishna is getting at this idea of he's ultimately unmanifest, that he's ultimately without form. And yet there is this tradition that says that his ultimate form is a form, and the highest thing is to be in devotional service and worship of Krishna for eternity in Krishna Loka, and that is the highest, right? That is the highest, and if you're, and somewhere below that, way below that, would be what the impersonalists or what the non-dualists or the monists think, which is that the unmanifest, right, or the non-manifest. So it's a fascinating discussion, and I'll leave it there for right now. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We'd love to hear your comments. I'm going to do another verse of the Gita right now. Maybe we'll get into this discussion in this other verse that I do, and yeah, would always love to hear your thoughts, comments, feedback, questions, anything. See you soon. Thank you. Hari Om Tat Sat.